Welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2018. First week of February. Welcome one and all to GreenFire Television from PATV Channel 18, Iowa City. Thank you for all the staff and the wonderful help that is here at this beautiful station. And please support PATV Channel 18. It's a good place to put your money. So you want to become friends of PATV, please donate what you can and even a little more so we can continue to put out beautiful programs from this beautiful station in Iowa City. Today we'll be touching on the full moon that we just had, the lunar eclipse and what they call the blood moon, supermoon, blood moon, and lunar eclipse all at one night. So we'll touch on that just briefly, simply as this particular program is going to be called Through Kenosis to Keynote through Mother Kali. And there's a lot of different rhythms that will move through there. And in the golden eternity of this hour, may we all celebrate the gathering around this electronic campfire. May you be warm and cozy wherever you are in the journey of your own star within our collective star of the omniverse of this immense journey. And joy to you one and all in the heart of the heart. Because this will be shown just before Valentine's, so this will be, let this be, and may this be a wonderful Valentine to you and yours. Your kindred, kith, and loved ones, kith and kin, and all the little kiddies out there, and all the little grandpas and grandmas and everyone else as well. So welcome, gather around this wonderful electronic campfire called GreenFire. As we mentioned, we'll talk about the lunar eclipse of January 31st, about a week ago. Eclipse. I drink moonlight and listen as the shadow of earth eats reflected sunlight from the face of the moon. Ah, eclipse. Visualize the eclipse. It's okay. Close your eyes. Let your imagination activate. Just see this full moon and then just see it slowly, slowly being eclipsed by a shadow of the earth over the moon from the sun's light. I drink moonlight and listen as the shadow of earth eats reflected sunlight from the face of the moon. From the face of the moon, I drink moonlight and listen as the shadow of earth eats reflected sunlight. Quite beautiful. On January 31st, 2018, we experienced a total full moon eclipse, which was visible from a large part of the earth. Lunar eclipses herald potent change and resonate with powerful symbolism, often turning the moon red, which they call the blood red moon. Eclipses embody the power of the veil. They empower the body of the veil, the mysteries of the goddess, the serpentine shedding that represents the destruction of old forms and heralds new forms. The continuous new, waxing, full, waning, dark lunar cycle, the same energy of the menstrual cycle, the veil, the snake, the moon, all three are incredibly and powerfully connected to the goddess, to women, to priestesses, and seers, to bodies and birth cycle and death cycle and rebirth and total embodiment. A total lunar eclipse enacts the union of light and shadow, a mysterium coniunctionis, and is an optimal time for magic and activism that focuses on deep transformation. Deep transformation. via transformativa. On work between the psyche and the consciousness, on the destruction, creation of illusion, and on calling in powerful balance. So we call in powerful balance. So briefly we'll reiterate this affirmation of full moon lunar eclipse magic. On January 31st, we experienced a total full moon eclipse, which was visible from a large part of the world. Lunar eclipses herald potent changes and resonate with powerful symbolism, often turning the moon red. Eclipses embody the power of the veil, the mysteries of the goddess, the serpentine shredding that represents the destruction of old forms and heralds new forms, the continuous new waxing, full, waning, dark lunar cycle, the same energy of the veil, the snake, the moon. All three are incredibly powerfully connected to the goddess. To women, to priestesses and seers, to bodies, to birth, death, and rebirth in total embodiment. A total lunar eclipse enacts the union of light and shadow, Mysterium Kenosis, and is an optimal time for magic and activism that focus on deep transformation, on work between the psyche and the consciousness, and on the destruction, creation of illusion, and on calling in powerful balance. So that is a little affirmation of the total lunar eclipse of January 31st, being that we're within 1 week of that time. So clear is the spacious heart when touched in the night by moon, by Tara, by Sangha, all saying yes and yes together, beyond and within. I am most simply clear. And that full moon of the January 31st leads us into Imbolc, or Candlemas, which is the halfway point, one of the cardinal points of Axio Mundi, of the Earth, between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. The halfway point was the second, on Friday the 2nd of February, 2222, deep involution, was Groundhog's Day. They got three names now: Groundhog's Day, Candlemas, and Imbolc. The halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox. Imbolc, horns of the white moon deer, cradle moon mother, ancient as time as they ascend the winter sky. Deep beneath winter's surface, the earth serpent stirs, called from dreaming as subtle energies shift and earth's longing for light, sheltered in winter dreaming, is born. That's why they say Puxatawny Phil comes out and sees his shadow. He's sheltered, being sheltered in winter dreaming. The earth's longing for light through Puxatawny Phil is born, and he sees his shadow. We lift hopeful candles and torches to the night sky, much like the blessing of the throat of Saint Blaise, calling to the moon and her starry attendants, invoking the return of light. This Celtic New Year celebration is thought to have originated long ago. Yes, it's also the Chinese New Year, and very close to the Thai New Year, and the Korean New Year, and the Vietnamese New Year, as well as the Cambodian, a lot of the Oriental, Southeast Asia New Year. India too is around the 2nd, but it's the entire month of February. This Celtic New Year celebration is thought to have originated long ago. February in the Northern Hemisphere is still bitterly cold, as it is today, and the darkness long, but memory stirs, so they say we're in Perdido of Dante's, and we're in purgatory. February is the month of purgatory. But memory stirs, more ancient than anything we have dreamed in the sable night, as our bodies and the body of earth resonate with the gradual unfolding of spiral energies from the heart of creation. Earth resonates with the gradual unfolding of spiral energies from the heart of creation. Now as then, we seek a place where we can feel living earth beneath our feet, offer prayers and poems and songs and dance invocations and blessings. We open our arms and hearts to the light, that it may unfold in the world and in us, that we may be candles of prayer and blessings wherever we go. That's the internal moon. The internal moon of Imbolc. So as it goes in our head, we go in our heart. The horns, Imbolc, the horns of the white moon deer, cradle moon mother, ancient as time as they ascend the winter sky. And deep beneath the winter's surface, the earth's serpent stirs, called from dreaming as subtle energies shift, and earth's longing for light, sheltered in winter dreaming, is born. We lift hopeful candles and torches into the night sky, calling to the moon and her starry ascendants and attendants, invoking the return of light. This Celtic New Year celebration is thought to have originated long ago. February in the Northern Hemisphere is still bitterly cold and the darkness long. The night is long and dark and bleak. The wind has putting up a howling fight. The darkness cries for light. The darkness cries for light. And the darkness cries for light. But memory stirs, more ancient than anything we have dreamed in the sable night, as our bodies and the body of earth resonate with the gradual unfolding of spiral energies from the heart of creation. Now, as then, we seek a place where we can feel living earth beneath our feet, offer prayers, poems, songs, dance, invocations, and blessings. We open our arms and hearts to the light, that it may unfold in the world and in us, that we may be candles of prayers and blessings wherever we go. So clear is the spacious heart when touched in the night by the moon, by Tara, by Sangha, all saying, yes and yes, together beyond and within, I am most simply clear. And in that sense of the dark night, we also have the starry night. And in this season, we are at times in solace and go into what's called introspection. And the other day, I stopped and did some on my own, on a curvature of time, the trajectory of my own path. And there are times in your lives, dear friend, when you take the path, the road not taken, the road not taken, or you make a decision, or it's a life-changing event. So I looked at a timeline. This is about 1992, when one of those life-changing events occurred in my life. Not by choice, but also by choice. And the title of this particular GreenFire is called From Kenosis to Keynote through Mother Kali. And Mother Kali is the goddess of unbelief and the goddess of undoing. And in this particular time, the goddess of undoing, Mother Kali, was full-time work in my life. I had been out to what's known as the nuclear test site, which is in Nevada, which is called Area 1 by the DOE, which is called the Department of Energy, but among people who are nuclear activists for nuclear disarmament, call it the darkness on Earth. The Native Americans, Western Shoshone Nation, calls it Newe Segovia. That's the name of their land, Newe Segovia, not Nevada. This is like 65 miles north of Las Vegas on the U.S. Highway 95. And we were called out there, and I was on Columbus Day, October 12th, 1992. And that's 500 years to the day that Columbus arrived in the New World and started his conquest. Well, here we were in honoring, doing condolence ceremonies. We had done a walk across America for Mother Earth, doing condolence ceremonies at spots of specific horror and ordeal and massacre of Native Americans. And we would do prayer ceremonies at many places, including Sand Creek. And they started on March and arrived at the Columbia Circle at the United Nations in New York City on March 1st, and arrived at the nuclear test site October 12th, 1992, right to the day. And we had we walked out to the nuclear test site, and then we started many actions for like 2 weeks, maybe a week. This was 1992, as I say. And at that time, we were still doing underground nuclear testing at the nuclear test site. And we stayed there. And what happened was another marvel. At the time, we'll just say a Dark Lord president named George Bush never wanted to stop nuclear testing, but the pressure of the 100th monkey came upon. He was not able to stop it, and he signed in the Oval Office of the White House a moratorium on nuclear testing while we were there. It was one of the last acts of his one-term presidency, something he didn't want to do, but we were victorious, what do you call it, in saying that there was a moratorium signed on nuclear testing while we were there on Columbus Day, 1992, shutting down that whole nuclear weapons complex, at least for underground nuclear testing. And we wanted to have complete weapons cessation of all nuclear weapons testing, plus everything nuclear, shut it down. Abolition of all nuclear weapons testing, production, research, storage, and missile silos, and all nuclear missiles, everything nuclear, including nuclear power plants. Shut them all down. And so at this particular moment in time, we were able to shut down that nuclear weapons complex called the nuclear test site, underground testing. And there was, after years and years and years and years of work by thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people, and here we were at a moment in time in history that we were participants in something much greater than ourselves, and we were all dedicating it to the seventh generation yet to come, for all of humanity into the future. And that was that time, and then I was scheduled to return to the Midwest to speak to a group of people who were protesting and were doing a vigil at one of those ground towers where the radar was, they were called Gwen towers, G-W-E-N. You can look it up. Ground wave electronic nuclear towers, where they would send messages from one tower, microwave, to another about nuclear this, nuclear that. And we were there to shut those down. And I was invited as keynote speaker at this particular one in Iowa near West Branch, between West Branch, Iowa, and the Cedar River. on I-80, and I was the keynote speaker when I returned, and boy, did I have some good news for all the folks back home. We had shut down the nuclear test site from, we had a moratorium on underground nuclear testing, which is still in effect to this day. So that was a key moment in my life, and what happened was, let me just share this, what I wrote, and let this speak for the event. This is called The Goddess of Undoing, from Kenosis, which means emptying out. It means emptying out, Kenosis, to Keynote through Mother Kali, the Goddess of Undoing. There has been a time when you could say, that's been a time of unknowing, a time of undoing, a time of ungluing, a time when the machine in the garden, the machine that Pink Floyd talks about, into the machine, the man, the system, the establishment, a time when the machine's set to spin a whirlwind of idiot wind, a time when all known worlds were split apart, a time when all solid edifices were shattered, gone, obliterated, apart, a time when all oaths and promises were blown to bits, meaning not one iota, a time when all dreams and promises were flattened, a time when the face of a soul was defaced beyond all recognition, a time when people's memory of you was erased beyond all cognition, a time when your own memory of you was pulverized, a time simply when you entered into a long, long, long darkness, through no fault of your own, except that you chose to take a stand for the future of man, for all humankind, for the 7th generation yet to come. Dear friend, this was a time when I became persona non grata to all except some members of my family. To say that it was a pain is to drain from it the significance of what it is. To say that it was a pain is to drain from it the significance of what it is. For in essence, it is a worldwide event within a fractal, a microcosm of the totally blown out macrocosmos blowing down on all vulnerable little people, tribes, clans, ethnicities, and nations all over Earth. By the big club, big man, nuclear bomb holder, Babylon, barbarian, baboon, buffoon, Pentagon man, and the Department of Energy, the darkness on Earth. Pendragon and Mandrake in a mad arc of dark art upside down pinnacles are drawing and quartering the entire planet through this nuclear nightmare, and through his conquistador concupiscent consummation and never zipping back up his trousers and his missile envy back and putting it back into the empty silos of his black art mind in a night watch that took the entire planet into a 2-minute before midnight doomsday death spiral. And, dear friend, this ain't the plan of man. Hell, man, this ain't even Plan 9 from outer space. This was Plan B from the basement in the janitor's bathroom, and they sucked the air out of the room. And they suck the air out of the room of your walkway. And they suck the air out of the room of your walkway of dreams. And they suck the air out of the room of your walkway of dreams and stealthily snuck in a black room of hidden midnight screams in the dark, always in the dark, and always, always, always after midnight. the algeny and progeny of demons trolling the midnight currents for unknown and unsuspecting victims. You, voodoo you, deja vu, voodoo you, all over and over and over again, all over you on Groundhog's Day. Deja voodoo you, hoodoo you, deja voodoo you, in a white chemtrail across azure blue sky. See that white chemtrail in the background, and a white chemtrail across azure blue sky, till your mind is fried and you can't think, and your mind is scried, 'cause all day the man, he's got you cried with all his dark pentagon tentacles of empire and Babylon arts, of the octopus squeezing you. Just ask Danny Casolaro, and he's got your name on the front page of Sunday's newspaper as a wanted poster, and all points bulletin, orange alert, 'cause he's got the stripes on you and the bars around you, in a deja voodoo you, with you in his Blackhawk County Zoo, when the bars of contain, capture, command, and control. And this movie goes on and on and on in Babylon, in the Blackhawk Gulag of America, on and on and on forever, 7 long years. And there ain't no way you can short circuit the script, because this scripture is from the Messiah of the deep dark arts, of the black ops, of the Pentagon, CIA, NSA, NRA industrial complex. And the man's got the clamps on you, he's got the crampons on you, and shoving a tampon up your ass, and that's the light treatment on Easy Day. That psychic choke chain is sharp and clear, no matter how far or near you go, and time after time, and time after time, and time after time, till it's all over. And this soul emptying out, this holy kenosis, this holy no kabuki shadow play of Mother Kali, stands revealed, the teeth mother, naked at last, vagina dentatis. Then comes a time, then comes a time, then comes a time when the softer arts of the sublime begin to reappear slowly, slowly, slowly in wonder, through innocence of a magical child's eyes. Who knows, through and through, going through it all, you kept your eyes on the prize. You kept your eyes on the prize. And the gift of this wonder is the slowly unwrapped gift rolling out. It's the slowly unwrapped gift rolling out in total bewilderment and surprise. The gift is the gratitude of sunrise, the dawn's earliest first sun ray of light. 'Cause even if you don't know, the whole future earth will tell you so. You did it for the 7th generation. You did it for the 7th generation. You did it for the 7th generation, dear friend. Yet to come, the 7th generation yet to come. You did it for the 7th generation yet to come. Let the mystery be. Send your prayers up on Wambly, the great bald eagle, to Wakantanka, the great creator. In gratitude, let your breath be as you walk in beauty. Mary be. So mote it be, dear friend. That's the spirit walker path. And so this path, this cup that I did not want was handed, and I had to drink it till the last bitter drag. And Mother Kali was the goddess of undoing everything that I knew about myself. And I went into a deep time of 6 years, 8 years on probation. And breathing through and doing good work in that time. Through the grace of the divine, I began to teach college. Imagine that. One hand tied behind my back with a handcuff on it, down at the corrections for being on probation, and the other hand being open and teaching students in college, a liberal arts class called You, the Environment and Survival. It was a multidisciplinary class, and many went on to UNI and University of Iowa and Iowa State, and out on the West Coast to University of Oregon, and that beautiful little campus up there in Olympia called Green something. And many went on to, and even now, some are married and have children, and some are directors of Stars Cave in the Mississippi River, and high school teachers in science, and most likely some are also college teachers as I speak. But in that dark time, in that dark night, that was the walk that was given to me. In that dark night, there was no starry night. But through the tears, there began to be some stars in that starry night. But it was tears that was walked for like 7 years of tears. Many gifts along the way. So always be grateful for the kindness of a human being. The simple act of kindness, of loving kindness, can change a heart, change a mind, and change a future. Well, on that particular day, October 12th, 1992, I was to be a keynote speaker, but upon arriving home with the good news that we had shut down the nuclear test site and had a moratorium on all nuclear weapons testing in America, my hands were put in, I flew down from Minneapolis, and the next morning I was in handcuffs. And instead of being able to speak before, as a keynote speaker before the Gwen Vigil protesters out there on I-80, I was gagged, muzzled, and handcuffed, and was kept that way, metaphorically speaking, for quite some time. I was not able to speak to my tribe, to anyone across the country. No one knew what was happening to me. And I was one of the keynote speaker, and I was known fairly well in the West Coast, in the Midwest, and on the East Coast. Having been on the Great Peace March, having been part of Earth First up in Oregon, and having been out on in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, doing walks, peace walks around Lawrence Livermore, and shutting down on Good Friday nuclear weapons testing and research at Livermore, all the way up and down the coast, and all the way up in Oregon, and Washington, and points east, all the way to the East Coast, and Voluntown, and Mystic, Connecticut, and New London, and the Trident submarines, and Navy bases. Been to all these places, Lake Superior, all planting peace bowls, doing this kind of work. And all that work was shut down. That was shut down. I was held incommunicado, persona non grata, and all kinds of bad words were thrown on Sunday newspapers. And there was a tremendous black hole that I entered into for like 6, 7 years. No one knew where I was or what it was about. So dear friends, always, if you're peace activists, and if you're not, always look out and have your friends back, and always make sure you hear from them. Because no one heard from me for 6 years. I was held incommunicado. I was literally in house arrest and domestic exile in Blackhawk County, Iowa. And I was suffocated, gagged, and muzzled, and wasn't heard from. I was already a keynote speaker in several colleges. And all of that was sucked out. It was called That black hole experience of Blackhawk County, the gulag years of Blackhawk County, I wasn't able to leave the county without a judge's permit just to even leave the county. So always make sure somebody has your back and hears from you, and make sure that your presence is known. Because what they did in Blackhawk County, Iowa was a damn crime. It was a brutal crime of Xing out a person's name, his face, from his kith and kin and kindred spirits, and unable to communicate with any of my own group, whether they're professors, teachers, peace activists, poets, lecturers. I was all of that, and peace walkers. I was lecturing in colleges. And so breathe even in the deep, dark times. So that's the walk you do when you walk your walk. You walk your truth. And dear friends, I'm here grateful to look into your eyes in this GreenFire night. Say, we walk our truth, and I'm very grateful, even having gone through that dark time. Many people went through much worse, but yet at the same time, I went through some pretty black hole dark times, and I want you to know about it, so that you know I'm here right now. So be grateful for everything. Some things do come around. And so I'm going to reshare this with you, having told you that part of the journey, which is part of the immense journey, and see if that now will enter into your heart. For this is a Prajaparamitra Sutra, Heart Sutra journey with you for this. This is my little Valentine's present for you. Is that okay? A little Valentine's for you. A little Prajaparamitra Sutra, heart-centered, heart song message for you. We'll do it again from the head. Now it goes into our heart song for you. The goddess of undoing, from Kenosis to Keynote, through Mother Kali, the goddess of undoing. There has been a time when you could say, that's been a time of unknowing, undoing, a time of ungluing, a time when the machine's set to spin, a whirlwind of idiot wind, a time when all known worlds were split apart, all of them. A time when all solid edifices were shattered apart. A time when all oaths and promises were blown to bits. Not one iota left. A time when all dreams and promises were flattened, sucked out. A time when the face of a soul was defaced beyond all recognition. A time when people's memory of you was erased beyond all cognition. A time when your own memory of yourself was pulverized into unrecognizable powder. A time simply when you entered in to a long, long, long darkness. The long, dark night, through no fault of your own, except that you chose to take a stand for the future of man, for all humankind, for the cessation of all nuclear weapons on planet Earth for all humankind, for the root races of all humankind, red, yellow, black, and white, for the hoops of all the nations of all humankind, in all the rainbow colors of humanity this very night. Dear friend, this was a time when I became persona non grata to all except some members of my family. To say that it was a pain is to drain from it the significance of what it is. For in essence, it is a worldwide event within a fractal, a microcosm of the totally blown out macrocosmos, blowing down on all vulnerable little people, blowing down on all the tribes, blowing down on all the clans through the drones, and blowing down on all the ethnicities, 4,000 unique human ethnicities, and blowing down on all the nations all over earth. By the big club, big man, nuclear bomb, Babylon, barbarian, baboon, buffoon, Pentagon man, at the Department of Energy, the darkness on earth, and in the White House. And in the White House, the big fool says to push on. And Pendragon and Mandrake in a mad arc of dark art, upside down pentacles, drawing and quartering the entire planet. Through this conquistador, concupiscent consummation, and never zipping back up his dark art orgasm wet dream, and through his missile envy, and back into the empty silos of his black art mind, in a night watch that took the entire planet into a 2-minute before midnight doomsday death spiral. And dear friend, this ain't the plan of man. Hell, man, this ain't even Plan 9 from outer space. This was Plan B from the basement in the janitor's bathroom in the Pentagon, and they sucked the air out of the room, and they sucked the air out of the room of yours, of your walkway of, and you know what they did in that time? And they're still doing it. It's still the during, it's still the dark time. And they sucked the air out of the room of your walkway of dreams. And they sucked the air out of the room of your walkway of dreams. And they sucked the air out of the room of your walkway of dreams. And stealthily snuck in a black room of hidden midnight screams in the dark, always in the dark, and always, always, always after midnight. The algeny and progeny of demons trolling the midnight currents for unknowing and unsuspecting victims and innocents. You, voodoo you, deja vu, voodoo you, all over and over and over again, all over you. Deja voodoo you in a white chemtrail across azure blue sky. See that white chemtrail behind me across that azure blue sky? And that white chemtrail across azure blue sky till your mind is fried and you can't think, 'cause all day he's got you cried and your mind scried with all his dark Pentagon Empire Babylon arts, and he's got your name on the front page of Sunday's newspaper as a wanted poster, and all points bulletin, orange alert, 'cause he's got the stripes on you and the bars around you, and a deja voodoo you with you in his Black Hawk County Zoo. The bars of contain, capture, command, and control. And this movie goes on and on and on for over 7 long years, and there ain't no way you can short-circuit the script, because this scripture is from the Messiah of the dark, deep dark arts of the black ops of the Pentagon, CIA, NSA, NRA industrial complex. And the man's got the clamps on you, he's got the crampons on you, and shoving a tampon up your ass. And that's the light treatment on Easy Day. That psychic choke chain is sharp and clear, no matter how far or near you go. And time after time, and time after time, and time after time, till it's all over. And this soul emptying out, this holy kenosis, this holy no kabuki shadow play of Mother Kali, stands revealed, the teeth mother, naked at last, vagina dentatis. Then comes a time, Zen comes a time, when the softer arts of the sublime begin to reappear, slowly, slowly, slowly in wonder. through the innocence of a magical child's eyes. Who knows this magical child, who knows through and through, going through it all? Who knows through and going through it all? You kept your eyes on the prize, and the gift of this wonder is the slowly unwrapped gift rolling out in total bewilderment and surprise. The gift is the gratitude of sunrise, the dawn's earliest first sun ray of light. Because even if you don't know, the whole future earth will tell you so. You did it for the 7th generation yet to come. The 7th generation yet to come. Let the mystery be. Send your prayers up on Wambly, the great bald eagle, to walk on Tonka, the great creator, the great spirit. In gratitude, let your breath be as you walk in beauty. Mary be. So mote it be this very day. Mary be. And in this way, this is the way of the gentle unknowing. Having gone through the ordeal of Mother Kali, and Mother Kali, it was a gracious gift, and Mother Kali we honor. And she's the goddess of Mother Night. And for Mother Kali, there comes a new creation. And gratitude for the gift, for the emptying out that Mother Kali provides. And giving that honor to Mother Kali is to say, this is more than just we as human beings understand. There's a divine presence within each human being that's being guided. And if you don't know about Mother Kali, please begin to look at Mother Kali. There are many others, but Mother Kali is very important to be grateful and to be embracing of Mother Kali. She's part of our lives. And so into this comes what's known as a resurrection. And Mother Kali takes us through that dark night and then presents to us at the first ray of light of the 2nd of February, Imbolc, a resurrection of light. Prana wants all of you. Moonlight isn't solid until caught in moving water. The thing is, prana wants all of you, all your insubstantial silver shadows and your fluid moments. Prana wants your attachments and your holdfasts, your carryover and your sense of self. Safety and civility are of no interest. Prana isn't content to wait on ice, to hold its breath while you catch yours, seizing in the sight of liquid crystal falls. Prana doesn't wait as you scrape your jaw off the ground or crawl back into your skin and realign your bones. There's no saying stop nor wait for the right moment when essence can be so immediate. Prana wants all of you. Now, in the heat of the cold and the murk of the awe, in light-captured crystal, solid as a waterfall, in the moon that is full, prana wants all of you. And this time passages, you can become a time passenger. And you can become a meditation witness. Here, the 4 trees sneak out of the forest. And you know why they sneak out of the forest? The 4 trees sneak out of the forest to watch the moon. Yeah. So the midnight witness of the trees sneaking out of the forest to watch the moon, dismount, drop back and watch. Constant thoughts galloping past. Watch the riderless horses, thick as a running forest streaming by. Witness, rising from the forest, a still and silent moon as the forest trees sneak back into the forest after watching a silent and still moon. They have become time passengers, and this is the way of beauty. And in that beauty, way. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty above me, beauty below me, beauty beside me. Beauty is all around me, surrounding me now. Beauty is the breath that I breathe. Prana wants all of you. Moonlight isn't solid until caught in moving water. The thing is, prana wants all of you. All your insubstantial silver shadows and your fluid moments. Prana wants your attachments and your holdfast, your carryover and your sense of self. Yep, and safety and stability, no, they're of no interest. Prana isn't content to wait on ice, to hold its breath while you catch yours, seizing in the sight of liquid crystal falls. There's a lake, Great Lake Superior, and you walk out on the lake tonight, this very night, February 7th, the waves are standing frozen in motion, 6 feet high, one of the most amazing grace experiences ever you can have. You can do the same on Lake Michigan. The Lake Superior is where the 6-foot standing waves are breathing liquid crystal falls through the air. Prana doesn't wait as you scrape your jaw off the ground or crawl back into your skin or realign your bones. There is no saying stop nor wait for the right moment when essence can be so immediate. Prana wants all of you now, in the heat of the cold and the murk of the awe, in light capture crystal, solid as a waterfall, in the moon that is full. And this is the gratitude to the great goddess. What a fine world, huh? And so we look at the via transformativa. What we covered here through the full moon and the lunar eclipse, and then what was a dark night of the soul, and that's the dark night of the soul of literally Mother Kali, and the goddess Isis is part of that too, and so is Inanna. They're all different parts of it, but Mother Kali, Mother Night. So a light to enlighten the darkness on these going through what's called the Via Dolorosa, the dark night of the soul. And now we can look at how the light is radiating eminence. And then the bridegroom is another name for the divine, the great creator. Perhaps the bridegroom calls himself a lily because he is wholly surrounded by lilies, and all the events of his life are lilies: his conception, his birth, his way of life, his teaching, the miracles he did, the sacraments that he ordained, or his passion, his death, his resurrection, and ascension. That's the bridegroom. Which of these are not radiant and sweetly fragrant, dear friend? At his conception there streamed forth the fullness of the overshadowing Spirit, a shaft of heavenly brightness. In that Bethlehem night, so blinding that not even the Holy Virgin could have endured it, had not the power of the Spirit given her shade. His birth radiated through the undefiled purity of his mother. His life was aflame with innocence, his teaching with truth, his miracles with purity of heart, his sacraments with the hidden power of his goodness. His passion shone with his acceptance of suffering, his death with the freedom he had to avoid death, his resurrection with the radiance which gave forth the fortitude to the martyrs. And that's in all religions. His ascension with the glory of promises fulfilled. The glory of promises fulfilled, that's an ascension in itself. And if you look at the great psychologist C.G. Jung, we talk about incarnation. We can't really exist without incarnation. That's really not amplified as much as it needs to be in the West, but incarnation is really important So I encourage people to look into incarnation as a form of spirituality that they haven't explored or maybe experienced yet. Because within incarnation, there is reincarnation, and that begins the great journey, the immense journey that we talk about, the journey of the soul. And reincarnation is essential for the journey of the soul in order for us to evolve, to be part of the evolutionary spiral. You can call it physis, and you can call it quantum physics. There's a transcendence involved here. And this transcendence is a part of the guiding light. And on February 7th, we have Gilbert of Hoyland saying, "A flash of lightning. Do you blow for us on the trumpet, good Jesus, at the new moon, at the festival of your solemnity?" So truly it is a festival when you reveal your divine majesty. Nothing is more festal, but nothing is briefer. A day, I call it. It is but an hour truly festal and truly solemn. Reveal in us some hours of that eternal day. You will at once turn from night into day anyone whom you reveal the word of your light. For you are eternal day. Flash upon us such lightning as this. Anyone on whom your lightning flashes, become a flash of lightning. Anyone on whom you shed a ray of your light, you make like yourself. We shall be like him, says John, when he appears. Such great insight in Revelation is from Gilbert of Hoyland. And Gilbert of Hoyland goes back, probably 1,500 years. And isn't that a good thing? And then the light is pleasant. This is a Imbolc from Garrick of Igny. Who knows, about 800 AD? The Lord's command is full of light. It enlightens the eyes. With those eyes you will be able afterwards to look on the light itself. When you have grown accustomed to living in the light of its rays, that is, in the fulfillment of these, light is pleasant, as Solomon says, and the eyes delight in beholding the sun. Pleasant indeed and delightful, but for those who can bear it. We're talking about those who can bear it. It fosters healthy eyes, but it tortures weak eyes, and those whose sight is so healthy and so keen that it is not enfeebled by the vision of that invisible sun. And whose sight is so healthy and keen that it is not enfeebled by the vision of that invisible sun. Who can search out majesty and not be overwhelmed by its glory? Your brightness, Lord, is too wonderful for me, both on its own account and on my own account. For it is strengthened against me while my gaze is weakened in me, and I am no longer able to bear it. As I could in Adam, perhaps I may be able to bear the brightness of stars, although I cannot bear the sun itself. This light is pleasant. It's pretty good in its way to walk a humble path. And may this journey of this 7th day of February be a blessing in some good way to you and yours, and share the kindness with the least of these. You're all a blessing. Peace.